Hello and welcome to The Thing About Golf, Golf Australia magazine's ongoing search for an answer to that unanswerable question, what is it that draws otherwise sensible and intelligent people to get hooked on this crazy game? My name's Rod Murray, and as regular listeners know, I'm your guide on these journeys into the psyche of golfers, that group of people for whom the game has become more than just a game and is instead a part of their very being. On recent episodes, we've heard from both Kari Webb and Peter Fowler, two of this nation's most popular players, but both, it would be fair to say, into the back nine of their competitive careers. This week, we change gears a little and sit down with a player who is very much at the height of his powers. Marc Leishman has quietly gone about an already extraordinarily successful career. He's done it with a minimum of fuss, and there seems no reason that his upward trajectory can't continue. But it's a long way from windy Warrnambool to the dizzying heights of the PGA Tour, and for the son of a bricklayer, the two worlds could barely be further apart. It is perhaps this grounded upbringing that sees Leishman maintain an everyman attitude to life and the game, right down to his obsession with mowing the lawn. But don't be fooled. As Leishman reveals, there lurks beneath a fiery competitor with much left to achieve in golf. As always with these chats, the idea is to cover less of the well-known territory and see if we can dig around the corners of what makes a player like Leishman tick. I hope you enjoyed the discussion and that you come away knowing a little bit more about Marc Leishman, the golfer, and the man than you did when you started. So the podcast, Mark, is called The Thing About Golf, which is a pretty broad question. So I've been asking it this way of a couple of our most recent guests. Finish this sentence for me. The thing about golf is...
The thing about golf is it can be the greatest game in the world and the most frustrating game in the world. It can make you really happy, really it can put your emotions through the ringer. And I think that's what's so good and so hard about it.
It's kind of the same appeal for everybody. It doesn't matter what level you play at, does it? Everybody can recognise there's good and bad in the game for everybody. So your level, your idea of bad might be my idea of amazingly good, but we both have the same emotions and responses.
Yeah, it really is. It's, you can always play better no matter how well you play. And, for instance, last week at the Travellers, I played great the first 2 days, fourth after 2 days, and then, you shoot 2 over 2 days in a row and drop back 50 spots. So it can be, satisfying and frustrating all within the space of a day or an hour or a week. So I think that's what's pretty good about it.
You never master it, do you? You never get there.
Yeah, exactly. And when the minute you think it's easy, that's when it's going to jump up and grab you. So, it's a hard game, but it's a very satisfying one when you can happen to master it, even if it's just for an hour or a day or a week.
Yeah. We'll talk about some of the hot scoring on the PGA Tour of recent times shortly. We'll come back to that. But I wanted to find out your start in the game. I've met your dad, good player in his own right. Is that how you got your start in golf? And what age were you? And what do you remember about the first time you thought to yourself, I really like this game? Was it immediate or did it take a year? Can you recall?
No, I knew pretty much instantly. I loved anything with a ball, any sport, just cricket, footy, golf, tennis. I enjoyed everything, and golf, I just always enjoyed it. And I was good at it from a pretty early age. Dad was a good golfer, still is a good golfer.
Don't use the was word. You're a dad yourself now. You know what that is. People start saying was, exactly. No good.
Yes. Yeah, my kids are they're starting to get into it as well. So I'm sort of going through what he was going through when he was bringing me up. And, that's the cool thing about it. You can play with Tiger Woods, or you can play with your friends or your son or your daughter, and get pretty similar satisfaction out of all of those things. Me, when I play with my dad, it still brings a huge smile to my face, and I know it does his as well.
Your boys will soon have the joy of playing golf with Granddad as well.
Yeah, they when we were back in Australia last year, we got out a few times, and that was awesome, just to get out to Warrnambool and play some golf, and to see my boys on the course where I grew up was was pretty amazing.
Yeah, indeed. You said you were pretty good, pretty quick. You're obviously a bit better than good. You're on the PGA Tour. That puts you in the top 0.0000000%. Was there a time when you realised that maybe I'm sure there were other kids at the club who were good, and it would have been pretty obvious, I imagine, fairly early that you were better. When did that sort of start to become a possibility for you when you started to think, hang on, I might be good enough?
Yeah, probably about, I'd say 13. I won the club championships when I was 13.
Was your dad in the group in the last round with you in the club champs?
Yeah, we played together in the last round. It was the club championships were 4 rounds of stroke at Warrnambool. And yeah, I played good in the last round and got over the line. Dad didn't finish second, which was good. So it's not like he let me win. So that was probably made it more satisfying. But it was a pretty big buzz for him to see that. And I mean, that's when I sort of thought I had a pretty, I was good. But I mean, you never really know. It's a pretty small area of Victoria where we grew up, and you think you're good, and then you go to Melbourne and you start getting your butt kicked there, and then you think you're good in Melbourne, and then you go to the Nationals and you get your butt kicked there, and you just have to keep improving, which is what I really enjoyed. I always, and still do, I always want to play with people that are better than me, just to see where I've got to improve, how I can improve, and just challenge yourself. And I've always loved that. Playing pennant in Melbourne, I always wanted to play number one because I wanted to play the best player from the other club, and that now is still the case. I want to play with, whether it's Brooks Koepka or Rory McIlroy or Tiger Woods. I want to play with the guys that are better than me and try and take it to them and beat them.
Yeah, just to clarify, you don't want to play number one pennant in Melbourne again. That's not what you were saying there. You want to play with the very best. Some could
Although that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. What do you remember about those days? Because every pro I've ever met, and Melbourne in particular, much more so than what we have here in Sydney, it's a real culture, that pennant in Melbourne, isn't it? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. It's good just because you learn to play in front of a crowd, and it means a lot to the clubs to have that. I guess it's a bragging right, of winning the Division 1 pennant or Division 2 or whatever it might be, and showcasing your course that week. Getting the greens as fast and as hard as you can, and putting the pin placements as tough as you can, and just. That was good, playing tournaments or playing rounds on courses that are, when they're in great condition and playing at their toughest. I think that prepares you for, for when you get to a major, I guess, because, you don't really see that until, those sort of pin placements in those conditions until you get to a major, because, they're a little more generous on the tour.
Yeah, indeed. Have you got a standout memory from pennant? We'll move on from this in a moment, but I'm always intrigued because these are the things that shape players for the future. That's your formative years as a competitor. Any standout memories from that time? Who were the other big names in Melbourne pennant golf when you played? Yeah,
when I was playing early on, I started playing against Marcus Fraser. I'd try and get up against him, playing for Kingswood. I remember Ash Hall was always a really tough match. He played for Huntingdale, and I actually played him at a final at Q one year. So that we actually won that final, which was a pretty good memory. And then I came out on top on that one. And another final against Kingswood, I actually lost. I can't remember who I played, but I remember I lost in the final, and we lost the match and all that. So that was, just playing under pressure was. I love that, and that's actually what I'm finding difficult with coming back onto the tour now with no crowds. Is there's no pressure. We're still playing for the a lot of money and all that, obviously, but there's just no real pressure, which is I feel like is an advantage for me when other people have to deal with that, and the way I deal with it, it sort of takes away a little bit of the advantage, and something I'm dealing with at the moment, which is certainly a challenge.
There's two sides to professional golf, isn't there? One is the business, which when you get to the PGA Tour can overtake the other side, which is what you're talking about, the golfer within. Easy to get distracted by the money and the business deals and the schedules and where to play, all of those things. And they are a big deal, aren't they? You're talking not insignificant sums of money and your whole family and your future and your career. But at the end of the day, you're doing it all because what you really love to do is make a putt in front of 10,000 people to beat another bloke.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's, I guess that happens, not only when you become successful on the tour, but when you first move to America and try and get to the tour, it's deciding where to live, deciding what route to take, whether you go through, the European tour or the Corn Ferry tour, or do the Monday qualifiers for the PGA Tour. What do you do there? And managing, all right, this club company is throwing money at me to use it, but I don't like the clubs. Do I take the money? And, it's just all that sort of stuff. There's issues, but they're all good problems. I mean, it's not like it's huge problems. You don't look at them as problems. It's just decisions you got to make, like with any job in anywhere. You have to make decisions that are best for you. And normally, if you wouldn't take a job for a little bit more money that's going to make you less happy, you would normally take what makes you happy, and that's what you perform better and probably make more money that way anyway. So they're the decisions you got to make, and I guess that's part of the fun, making the right decisions and just enjoying the ride, I guess, more than anything. It's not really success if you're not enjoying it along the way.
No, that's a very good point, which a lot of us forget. Money makes things easier, but it doesn't make things good. So if they're already good, they'll be better. But if they're not good, it's not going to help. It's a long way, Mark, from Warrnambool to West Virginia. And I've got two questions here. What's your relationship like with America? You've been living there for a while now. You're married an American. And you might be the only golfer that lives in West Virginia. Why aren't you in Florida or Texas or one of those other places where everybody else lives? Or Virginia Beach.
Yeah, Virginia Beach.
Sorry.
Yeah, Virginia Beach. It's I'm the only golfer here. So Audrey's from here, and I've got to be away from my family, so I would never take her away from hers as well. The old thing, happy wife, happy life. It's very true. So yeah, I mean that's why I'm here. But and what was the other part of the question? Sorry.
Your relationship with America. So you've married an American, you live in America. I spoke to Kari Webb the other week, and she's been there more than half her life. Still thinks of herself as Australian, but also thinks of herself as American as well. What's that like for you, and particularly in what's been some difficult times in recent weeks? Being in America wouldn't have been easy, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, no, I love it over here. It's everything's quite easy most of the time. Like I haven't lost the accent or anything. I think you only lose that if you want to.
There'll be a couple of blokes out there who will hear you say that, and they'll come and talk to you in the next couple of weeks. That's what'll happen there.
Yeah, but I really like it. Like I say, things are pretty easy. Yes, it's been tough, but I think, I don't know. It doesn't feel too different. And I think we're lucky with where we are as well. Like that we've only got a small number of cases here in Virginia Beach. I think there's other parts of the country that are struggling with it more, but hopefully we can get through all this sooner rather than later and get back to normal life. Obviously, there's a lot of people having to deal with some stuff that they really would prefer not to be, and people losing their lives. So it's bad, but I think we're in a little pocket here where we're quite lucky, and I think the tour's doing a really good job with all their stuff as well.
Yeah, on difficult circumstances. Perspective is one thing you probably don't need a lesson in, which some people are probably getting a lesson in. As you say, people are dying around you. It makes three-putting look fairly unimportant. You had that lesson very close to home about 5 years ago. Audrey was gravely ill. Could have died. I know you've spoken about it plenty of times. You've been asked about it plenty of times. Is it something you still think about, and the lessons that you learnt through that time, do they stay with you? Because this happens to us as people, doesn't it? We have a big scare or something, and 3 years later, we've kind of forgotten about it. It was like it never happened. Has it been like that for you, or do you still remember that time and how you felt?
No, I definitely still remember it. It was a pretty significant time in both of our lives. That perspective has stayed with me. Obviously, you have moments where you do lose a little bit, but for the most part, it's been something I think about a lot. Just the little things I think I enjoy a lot more now. Every April you think about where we are and where I could have been, where she could have been. And And I think every April that brings back some pretty important perspective. She shouldn't be alive, but somehow got through it and survived it, and has done a lot of good since then. So I think, I don't want to say it was meant to be, but I feel like it was given to her because she could survive it and bring some good out of it. And we started our foundation after all that stuff, and we've helped a lot of people who really needed it. And I feel, I always try and look at the positives in everything, and that's certainly one of the positives that, with what she went through, we've, I think, created a lot of awareness and helped a lot of families that really need it. So as bad as it was, I feel like it turned out to be quite a good thing.
It's easy from the outside, and we're all guilty of it. You've probably been guilty of it yourself. You look at a bloke like yourself who's in a privileged position, you're doing well, you've made plenty of money, you start a foundation, and to think that it's just sort of something you do, but there's something more personal for most of the players with the things they're involved in, aren't they? We don't pay that much attention, but for someone like yourself and what you do with that foundation actually is really important.
Yeah, I mean, it is. We don't ask people for a lot of money or anything like that. That's not what it's about. We just want to, it's more about awareness. I mean, yes, it's great to help people, but we feel like if we can get the word out there, what sepsis is and what the symptoms are, and can avoid stop you getting it and getting bad sepsis. Every hour it goes by, your chance of dying goes up 8%. So if you go to bed with it and don't know, 10 hours later, you're probably going to be dead. So it's worth looking up the symptoms it really could save your life, or stop you going through something that's, like what Audrey went through. I'd never heard of it. I had to Google it when she was in the hospital.
We're lucky, Leish. We're blokes, aren't we? We don't do it. In fact, it's just an awkward thing for us to talk about. That for the most part, we won't think about it. Toxic shock syndrome, I think, is
guys can get it too. Yeah.
Really?
Guys can get sepsis as well, yeah. So just from if you have a cut on your finger, it's like, so if you have a cut on your finger, it gets infected, rather than basically sending out the US Navy SEALs or the Australian SAS, they'll send out the entire military. So it sends out too much, turns your blood toxic and kills you from the inside out, basically. So, if you know the symptoms and you're like, geez, I feel like crap, you can go to the hospital and it's just antibiotics and you're good to go. But, if you don't know what it is, you probably end up in a coffin, unfortunately. So, just little things like that. But yeah, no, it's, we're lucky with the situation we're in, and that Audrey survived it. And we can, we got a platform to help people and create that awareness. So, we do live a good life, and I know how lucky I am, but it's also nice to do good and hopefully change other people's lives as well. Yeah.
You've got it about as good as a bloke can get it, can't you? You've got home is Australia. You've got an American wife. You're there in sort of Virginia Beach. I know that she likes Australia, enjoys coming to Australia. You spend a fair bit of time here each year. Way back when, these are things you don't think about when you're a kid and you're practicing, in the dark on the putting green for the Masters or the Open or whatever it is that you've decided to putt for that day. Yeah. It's an impossible question, but you'll get the point. Could you have looked forward from there and seen where you are here? Not that it's over by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty good so far.
Yeah, I mean, the way I looked at it, obviously grew up in a small town, Warrnambool, but the way I always looked at it was, the guys that are on that tour at the time, Steve Elkington, Norman, look at Steve Strick, all those, just that generation older. I'm like, well, someone's got to do it. Why not me? So that's the way I always looked at it. When I got in contention, it was like, well, it's either you're going to win or me. So why not me? If I can play good and beat you, well, why not? So that's the way I always looked at it. But I am very lucky. I know that, and a lot of hard work's gone in, but there's obviously a little bit of luck there involved, and some good breaks along the way. But it's been a a lot of fun, and hopefully can win a few more tournaments and a few bigger tournaments.
Sorry to butt in, and I hope you're enjoying our chat with Marc Leishman, but I figured that if you are, then you might also like to delve into the thing about golf archives. Our previous guests have come from every facet of the game, from administration and rules to course design and players. We've even squeezed in a course owner and a book publisher along the way. And of course, plenty of professionals as well. So do yourself a favour and head to golfaustralia.com.au, click the podcast tab and check out all the past episodes. Now, if you're one of the cool kids, you can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify or Google Podcasts. And not only do you get the whole back catalogue, but we'll turn up in your playlist whenever we release a new episode. You don't have to do a thing. You get all that for the crazy low price of, wait for it, absolutely nothing. Yes, folks, it's free, so there really is no excuse. Now, back to Marc Leishman. You can't get there on talent alone. We know that, because there's too many talented players. If you don't work as well, you're just not going to make it. And I think a lot of guys get to that point at some point where if they don't want to put the work in, so we know. Outwardly, though, you don't look like that guy, Marc. You don't look like the guy that wants to put his foot on the throat of the guy who's a shot behind or a shot in front with 3 holes to go. Obviously, there must be that competitor within. Are you hiding it? Is it something that only manifests internally for you? You don't sort of show it outwardly?
I think it's, well, the work, I mean, you have to work, but you got to work on the right things. So that's a start. So I like to work efficiently. I don't like to be out there for a whole lot of time, but what I do is very efficient and productive. But I'm really competitive at everything I do. It's probably lucky Audrey, my wife, is not competitive, because if we take separate cars to dinner, I'll ask her which way she's going to go, and I'll go a different way to try and beat her. So there's little things like that, and I guess it's. I feel like you can be really competitive and really, I don't know the word, but you can have that real fighting spirit without being a dick, being an ass. Yeah, exactly. So you can, I like to play people who are playing their best, and I want to play my best and beat them. And if they beat me, well, good for them, and I'll be happy for them. But I'll do everything I can, to a point to beat them as well. So, at the end of the day, I want to be a good person and a successful person, but I'm also going to be happy for someone else if they outplay me or I mess up and they win. So I'm going to be happy for them. It's not really in my nature to be annoyed at someone else's success, I guess. Yeah.
Who are you beating in the best PGA Tour lawn stakes at the moment? We know that you're the leader in the clubhouse because we've seen it on social media, and you had even had a crack at the MCG. Who's in that competition, and how much are you leading by?
Well, Cam Smith was in it, and he's just bought a new house, so he's starting from scratch again. Rory's got a pretty good green in his backyard. McIlroy. He doesn't look after his. Tiger doesn't look after his. They got other people looking after it. So I'm probably the only one that's looking after my own lawn. Pamps has got a pretty good lawn. But yeah, there's obviously we spend our whole life on grass, so we enjoy it, and but yeah, no, I certainly it's more. Well, I just like it. It's a bit of a workout, and you can enjoy a beer after it. That's probably the main thing for me.
What is it about? I mean, most blokes, the thing they dread every week is having to go out and mow the lawn, and here you are. You can afford to pay someone to mow, and you're out there doing it yourself and loving it.
Yeah, I just love it. Yeah, I love it. It's it gets you out of the house. It's looks good afterwards, and a bit of a spell from the kids as well. So yeah, a bit of everything, but I don't know. I've just always enjoyed it. I used to mow mum and dad's lawn and mow my grandparents' lawns and just do all that, and just I don't know, I just like trying to get the stripes on it. Now I've got the mowers that can actually put the stripes on it, which is pretty cool. It's
very blokey, isn't it? That look what I've done. Even when we go to the washing the dishes, I don't like a dishwasher. I like to stack them up on the sink so that not only can I see them, but everybody can else see what I've done and achieved. I think it's why blokes are builders too. Look what I did. I built a house. I mowed a lawn. I did some dishes.
So I hate washing the dishes. I'll put the bins out and mow the lawn. Someone else can do the dishes.
Indeed. What's the state of play at the moment there in Virginia Beach? Have you guys been in lockdown? Obviously, you've been playing a bit. You mentioned you're not playing this week, but and how's that sort of been? Has it been quarantine? Has it been awkward to try and get around? How's the whole circus going?
Yeah, we were in lockdown for about 2 months. But golf courses never closed. It was never really, really strict here. We could still go pick up lunch or, go to the shops or whatever, but, pick up food. But, then it opened up and it's pretty much, on track to keep opening up. We just went into phase 3 opening. So restaurants are at 100% capacity. We're one of the lucky areas, like I said before. There's a lot of military here. They've got their own quarantine sort of things. They're allowed to go to work and from work, and that's it. So, you feel pretty bad for them. But, there's other areas of the country. I guess Texas and Florida pretty much fully opened up, and now they're shut down again. So,
Arizona.
Yeah, hopefully they can get – Arizona as well. So hopefully they can get things under control and we can – get back to some sort of normal, travel more than anything. I mean, my parents were, they normally make a couple of trips over here every year and they don't know when they're going to be able to come back. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back at the end of the year. So it's, it's a little worrying, but, you look at what our grandparents and all that went through and, I guess it's a lot different to what they, went through. So if you look at it that way, I feel like it's, not too bad, but you also don't want to say it's not too bad because people are, dying and all that. But, we'll see how it all ends up. But, at the moment, things are quite normal here in Virginia Beach.
Yeah, there's that perspective kicking in again. Not many of us have taken the time to sit back and consider, actually, bad things have happened to other generations as well. And really what we've been asked to do, sit on the couch, is not that bad compared to what others have endured. What was going on with your golf before all this started? Where were you sort of positioned? How was it coming along? Because it would have been Masters was on the horizon. You would have been already in March. You would have been in the phase of thinking about that, getting prepared for that. It's a place where you've had some success before. With a bit of luck, you'll be back there in November, which will be really weird. You think it's weird playing without crowds? Georgia in November is going to be odd.
Yeah.
But where was everything golf-wise prior to, and how has it been coming back? Practice is just practice, isn't it? You can't tell a lot from it. You got to do it, but it doesn't tell you much.
Exactly. Yeah, golf was good before the lockdown. Had a win at Torrey Pines, second at Bay Hill, so I got off to a really good start. I normally play terrible at the Players every year. So that course doesn't suit me very well. And I was coming fourth or I think fifth after the first round and when it got cancelled. So my game was in a really good spot. I had a fair bit of time off, which was nice. I haven't really had an off season for about 10 years. So I enjoyed that. And I've been a little rusty. I think Colonial, my first tournament back, I had 11 birdies in the first 2 rounds and didn't sniff making the cut. Just had a lot of mistakes and made a lot of mistakes. And then last week got off to a really good start and just, fizzled out a little bit. But the signs are good. I'm excited about these next 2 weeks in Columbus, Ohio, Muirfield Village, where I've played well before. And we've got 2 tournaments in a row there. And then, pretty much the major season starts. We've got the WGC in Memphis and the PGA and then the playoffs and the US Open and the Masters and
that's a whirlwind,
all that. So it's it's going to be good. It'd be a good time to be in good form. So I'm not playing a whole lot. Well, at the moment, just to try and be somewhat fresh for that big stretch and because you could potentially win. Mm-hmm. or have a chance to win a couple of majors in 2 month span. So, that's, and they're courses that I like as well. I like, really like Harding Park and Augusta, Winged Foot, we'll see. But it's going to be a good end to the year, and hopefully I can be playing good when it matters.
From the outside, you look to be a momentum player. You're one of those players who sort of plays into form and then holds that form for sort of multiple weeks at a time. Remember that you had that amazing run in, was it 2014 maybe, where you had the WGC and the Open and the PGA. There was something else in there. You had sort of run really good finishes in there. Does it feel like that to you? Is there some explanation? Have you always been that way?
Yeah, I think so. I guess when you get into form, you just got to try and make the most of it. You don't play well all the time. And when you do, you've got to really try and make hay while the sun's shining. I actually played with my neighbour from across the street this morning. He's a 17-year-old, wants to be a pro golfer. And, I asked him what his best score was. And he's like, shot 5 under for 9 months. And, that's great. Like when you're 5 under through 9, you got to don't try and just shoot 5 under. You got to keep going and try and make the most of it and shoot 10 under. He's like, I was sort of trying to just have a good score. I'm like, no, you don't always play well. So you got to really try and make the most of it. And that's what I do. So, if, you won't see me lay up too often if I'm playing well. So I guess I am a little streaky, particularly with the putter, but that's the good thing, I guess. I can get hot and never know when it's going to change. So you got to keep your foot on the accelerator.
Putting's black magic, Mark. Don't feel bad about that at all. Nobody understands it, even those who are good at it. So don't let them tell you otherwise. Are you born that way, or do you learn that in golf? You said the young bloke who's sort of, his default position was try and protect that 5 under. I think there's a lot of people like that. Your default position is try to get to 10. I think Tiger Woods is a player somewhat like that as well. Are you born that way? Do you learn that? What do you reckon? Where do you reckon that comes from?
Yeah, I don't know. It's I guess you can be born that way and change, or born conservative and change. But I think I was born that way, just to be pretty aggressive, especially with something that is not life or death. I'm a little more conservative with other areas of my life.
I was going to say, are you a natural risk taker? Does it show up everywhere, or
no,
it's just the golf course?
No, I'm not. Just the stuff where there's not any real any grave consequences, I would say. So yeah, you can be born with it. I think it's good if you know how to win from a young age. That's something that you have to learn as well. But some people find it easier than others. There can be people with a lot of talent who don't quite know how to win, and I think that's you can see that in young kids that coming through. If they they might not be quite as good as everyone else, but if they know how to win, that's probably more important than the talent. So. Yeah, I guess that, and knowing how to go really low is also very important in golf.
Yeah, it's unique in many ways, golf, but competitively, it's unique in that way, isn't it? That it's the only sport I can really think of, unless you count darts as a sport, perhaps, where you're in complete control. Everything that happens, all of the good is on you, and all of the bad, sure, it's partly shared by the caddy for a bit. But ultimately, you know that all of the bad is on you as well. I can't think of another sport where that's the case. You can play in a team, play great and get beat, play bad and win. But in golf, it's all on you, isn't it?
Yeah, for the most part, definitely. Probably darts and 10-pin bowling are the only two like that. There might be a bit of luck with the pins, but golf, you can get a good lie or a bad lie in the rough. But apart from that, it's sort of, for the most part, it's on you. You hit a good putt, it'll probably go in. Hit a poor putt, it's not going to go in. So, and that's where you can be pretty hard on yourself too. I'm notoriously pretty hard on myself when things aren't going well, and that's where it can be tough as well. But that's just like we were saying earlier on. It's just one of the challenges with the game, and why it's such a good game, because you can be so high when you're playing well. And then it can get on top of you, and you can feel like you're never going to make a birdie ever again in your life. So I think that's a testament to how good golf is.
Yeah, make the most of it, because one day that's going to be true. You're not going to make any more birdies. They will have run out, and you won't know when that moment comes.
Exactly.
We spoke a few years ago. I think it was at maybe the World Cup at Kingston Heath 2016, that crazy week where I think you and Adam Scott did more press in 5 days than you probably had done in the previous year. Every day you got hauled in front of us so we could ask the same ridiculous questions we'd asked the day before. But we spoke before the tournament and I asked you then about achieving and underachieving and overachieving, and not in a disparaging way, but that sort of looking at your record then you might make the case that Marc Leishman had perhaps underachieved. And it led to a discussion about what it takes to be the very best. And you said something to me which I've never forgotten about Jason Day, who was world number 1 at the time, I think, or had been just recently. And you said that you've been at barbecues on a Sunday afternoon when Jason has said no to a second beer. And you said to me, I'm not that guy, which is interesting. We'll come to Leishman Lager shortly and what all that means. But tease that out a little bit, because we know that we know you're the competitor. You want to be the very best in the world. Is it just different for different people, what's required, perhaps? Does saying no to the second beer not work for you, maybe, where it does for Jason?
Yeah, I think it's, I think probably not that a second beer is happiness for me, but happiness, it's more important for me to be happy than it is to win, 6 majors and 20 tour events. I would love to do that, don't get me wrong, but I love spending time with my mates. And I think to be the best, you've got to be able to dedicate your entire life to golf. And especially with kids, I'm just not willing to do that. So I'll take, my career right now, over, someone who's had a lot more success than I have, but I feel like I've lived life good. I want to live life a lot better, coming up. But, I'd just like to enjoy myself and, I'm happy. I'm comfortable with where everything is in golf. Yes, I'd like to have a few more wins, but at the end of the day, you only get to live once, and I don't want to have any regrets and miss my kids growing up and all that. So, I'm more than happy with what I've done. But, I've got stuff that I still want to do as well in golf.
Even if you had a few more wins, Mark, you'd still want a few more. Tiger still wants to win more. And let's be honest, that's just greedy. He really has had enough, truth be told, hasn't he? Yeah, not fair. Where do you reckon that comes from? Because I think I met your dad once. It might have been that same year. I think we walked a practice round with you and I was chatting to your dad. Is he a bricklayer?
He was, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. He was a brickie, so
sort of humble. That's different to a lot of your brethren on the tour, I'd imagine. They would have different upbringings to that. That's proper hard work, isn't it? Really?
It is. Yeah, I saw how hard he worked and how much he enjoyed himself as well. So, you can see how much someone enjoys himself, and with having not a whole lot. Dad was a bricklayer, Mum was a nurse. We were, we didn't miss out, but Mum worked, I think, 3 jobs at one point and all that. And, I saw how happy they were, and I'm like, well, that's how I want to be, no matter where I get to, how successful I get or not successful, not even not successful, I should say that. If golf works out or it doesn't, I just want to make sure I'm happy, and I'll do everything I can to do that, and feel like I've done a pretty good job.
Yeah, golf's kind of easy to measure success, isn't it? Because tournament wins equals success. There's quite straight lines about what constitutes success. Being on the PGA Tour, that's a success, isn't it? Winning on the PGA Tour, that's a huge success.
It is, and it's funny because I've had maybe 11 or 12 wins in my career. I've probably played 400 events. And I have an 11 or 12 wins. That's actually a pretty good career.
You're one of the best in the world, my friend.
At a 3% success rate. So, it's an interesting sport in that respect. If you're in a team sport where it's one-on-one or team versus team, you obviously hopefully your success rate is a lot higher than 3%. Golf, you get used to not winning, I guess. I won't say losing, because sometimes you finish 10th and feel like it's been a successful week. Sometimes you finish second and you feel like you're gutted leaving the course. So success is measured differently in golf, and wins certainly are good with that. But sometimes a good week can be 10th.
Yeah, you're probably not playing many AFL Grand Finals if your team win rate is 3%. So
exactly.
You can say that's probably not a recipe for success in in many other sports. The lawn mowing, the Leishman Lager. What's the Leishman Lager thing about? What are you doing there? Why would you go into that business? Surely, as a PGA Tour player, there's other businesses you could invest in which are much more sensible than trying to get into brewing.
No, love beer. Seemed like a perfect fit, to be honest. So we got Leishman Lager in Australia, and then we got it over here as well in the States. So it's just been fun. Pretty passionate about it. I feel like it's something that, once golf is done with, whenever that is, it's something that could, pay the bills after golf. So, it's got off to a really good start in Australia, and over here it's going pretty well too. So we're, it's good. The Leishman Lager in Australia is a mid-strength and but full flavored. So it's we brewed it as a mid-strength, not just add water sort of during it. It's people are enjoying it, and we're going to try and get it into a lot of golf clubs around the country, and it's been going quite well in Victoria so far.
You're obviously good at beer. Are you good at business? It's a learning curve, isn't it? Setting up a business, there's a million things to be done.
Yeah, it's the same as golf, really. You just got to surround yourself with the right people. You wouldn't want to surround yourself with 5 other people that have never done it before either. You got to get good people around you who have done it, and if something comes up, they know what to do. And I feel like I've surrounded myself with really good people back home in Australia. And we've got a publican, we got a lawyer, and we've got and Will looks after all the day-to-day stuff. So it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. It's grown fairly quickly, and we're still learning, but it's been very enjoyable.
What you got there with a publican, a lawyer, and a golfer is a Wednesday afternoon 4-ball, mate. That's why you can't get a tea time on a Wednesday.
Exactly.
Throw in a dentist, and you've got yourself a Royal Melbourne Wednesday afternoon 4-ball there. That's what you've got.
Yes.
Hanging right there. And are you serious about that? That might be your legitimate career after golf? Is this sort of Leishman Lager thing? Is it that big a deal? Not just a bit of a folly and a bit of fun?
Yeah, I think it's no, it's so the one over here was kind of dip my toe in the water, see how it went, see how far the name could get us, and it's grown a lot slower over here, but still been profitable. And the one in Australia kind of blew up very early on. This was a bit of a setback with all this COVID stuff, but got into a lot of golf clubs and a lot of pubs around Melbourne, and interest was fairly high. So we can keep that going and see where it takes us. It's going to be fun either way, but hopefully we can be successful and see where it takes us.
A bit like golf, early and quick success can actually be quite difficult to manage in business. Have you had any of those hurdles? It can be unexpected. Cash flows don't necessarily keep up with demand. There's all sorts of things can happen when you have unexpected and fast success. Yeah,
so our first batch was going to be 10,000 litres, and then last minute we upped it to 20,000. It was meant to last. The 10,000 was meant to last 3 months. The 20 lasted less than a month. So then the next batch was meant to be another 10,000. That turned into 60,000 litres. And so it's just, so little things like that. But it's been all good problems so far. So, talking about nerves, I mean, that's probably the most nervous I've been in the last 5 years is tasting my beer for the first time. You tell them how you want it to taste and do this and that, and want to look like this, and then you get it and you're like, just please don't taste terrible. And then to drink it and have it taste really good. I mean, that's why we've been selling so much of it, is because it's such a good product. So
I had a case of beer like that once, Mark. I thought I was going to need 6.
That was pretty pleasing to
then I needed 12, then it was 24. There must be something about beer. There just doesn't ever seem to be enough of it, no matter how much you've got. Let's go back to golf. Because golf's more of a focus, obviously, at this point than the Leishman Lager. We know you've got the game to win the biggest prizes. You've been there. You've seen it. You've been up close. You've tasted it. I mean, you couldn't get any closer than you did in 2015 at the Open. The Open and the Masters seem to be the two, based on your record so far. That's where you've played your best golf. No Open this year, but there is a Masters. Would that be your assessment that the Masters and the Open probably suit your sort of game the best? And what do you do? What do you do to go that extra step? Is there some formula? Is there a book you can read that'll give you the answer, or do you just got to keep trying?
Oh man, it's just a matter of putting 4 rounds together and hope someone doesn't play better than you on that certain week. I think the Masters and the Open are my 2 best opportunities. I think the PGA at Harding Park is a good chance this year. That's a pretty good course for me. But in general, PGA courses and US Open courses are not really conducive to Marc Leishman. Need to hit a little too straight off the tee there. But, I mean, you just have to play well in the right weeks, and because we're playing 25 events a year, obviously the tournaments that you want to play well at, but whether you do or not's another thing. I wish I could tell you that I can peak for certain events and not for others, but I'm trying to play well every event. So there is a little bit of luck there involved on which weeks you play well, and you just got to prepare as well as you can and hope you can just have it that week, because obviously some weeks you have it and some weeks you don't. Every
time you get close, it helps for the next time you get close, I suppose, doesn't it? That's kind of the point of it. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you can learn something, I've always said you learn a lot more from when you lose than when you than your victories. So as long as you can learn from your when you're there, that's probably the best thing, and give you a good chance for the next time.
Mark, our time's at an end. Really appreciate you doing this. Best of luck for the upcoming whirlwind big event season that you're staring at from there. You'll have earned yourself a Leishman Lager by the end of it. We hope there's some golf to see you back playing in Australia before the end of the year. It's not looking likely at this stage, but perhaps we might be able to get to see you early next year. We look forward to having you back here whenever that is, and we really appreciate you taking some time today, mate. Thank you very much.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks a lot, Rod. Appreciate it.
I've always had the feeling that Marc Leishman would be a good bloke to sit and have a beer with, and nothing in that interview has disabused me of that notion. He told us he was finding it hard to lift with the no crowd rule on the PGA Tour, but with major season just around the corner in this topsy-turvy new schedule, I fully expect that we'll see some better play from Leishman in the coming weeks and months. Well, that's it for episode 23 of the show, but I hope you've made the effort to subscribe, because on episode 24, we're going to meet a man whose voice you'll know, but whose story might surprise you.
As Chichi Rodriguez once said, Jack Nicklaus, he hunts, he fishes, he plays tennis, and he wins golf championships. He's a legend in his spare time.
That's South African legend Dale Hayes, next time on The Thing About Golf.